Hi there, it's Jen from scribblinggrace.com. So I have gotten so many requests to do more lettering tutorials, and specifically how to do lettering like I do it. And honestly, it's been a little bit hard for me to figure out how to put my lettering style into words and teach you guys how to do it. It's honestly just taken a lot of practice and trial and error and just figuring things out along the way. But after thinking about it, I realized that I really do one style of lettering, which is this bounce lettering. Bounce calligraphy is actually fairly widely known in the calligraphy world. It's basically where your letters kind of bounce up and down, where they don't stay on one straight line, which is what more traditional calligraphy is. It stays in one line, and more modern calligraphy usually bounces like this. And I think I finally figured out an easy way to show you guys how I do it. And I think that it'll be a really fun thing for you guys to try out. So first things first, I want to point out a couple things. So this is more for if you've lettered a couple times, if you are learning the basics or have felt like you learned them pretty well and you want to move on to the next step. If you've never touched a brush pen before or you don't know anything about lettering but you want to try, I have more tutorials on brush pen calligraphy basics and faux calligraphy, which I'll highly recommend you check out before and then come back to this video. I'll put those links in the description below. And the second thing I want to point out is that I have a free printable for you guys. It is a 6-page printable. So it has this little alphabet, which I'll show you why it's color-coded in just a second. And then it has some common words that you'll find in the Bible, ones that I often letter. Since you know me, most of my lettering is done in my Bible. And then it also has a little verse here which says, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you," which is Psalms 56:3. And then it also has a blank sheet of practice paper at the end. The way that I recommend using this printable is printing it out once and then buying some tracing paper. Tracing paper is cheap, and it also gives you a really nice surface to letter on, and it's great for using over practice sheets. So this is what I'm going to be using as I show you guys today. So you can get this printable through the blog post that goes along with this video at scribblinggrace.com/bounce. There is an email sign up for this one just because it is so many pages, but I promise I won't spam you. So be sure to head on over to that and download this. I'll put the link to this in the description below as well. And now let's get started. Okay. So the first sheet on this printable, you see the different colors. So as I was analyzing my own lettering, I realized that I really only do the bounce, which is, where you go down farther on certain letters. And so I kind of I kind of broke it down. The red is what you keep normal, just a normal brush letter. If you've done my brush lettering practice sheets, these are really similar to the same alphabet there. The blue is where you're going to dip down, and I'll show you this in just a second. And then I have some green ones, and these are just kind of the wild cards, I like to say. So my V's I like to take up to the top, same with the X's. So I'll get to these in just a second. So as I'm going to show you guys how I do my lettering, I'm going to use my Tombow Fudonosuke brush pen. This is the soft tip. I talk a lot about these in my other videos, and I'll talk more about this in the blog post. I'm going to try to save some time and not go too much into these pens, but I highly recommend these for Bible journaling and lettering. All right, so when you look at my practice sheet, you're going to notice 4 lines to each row. So this bottom row is what's called the descender. Then this one right here is the baseline, and this one here is the X height, and then this is the ascender. There's usually another one right in between here called the cap height, but since we're doing this the easy way, we're just going to cut that out. So that's just to keep in mind. So the bulk of my letter is always going to be in this middle section here. And then from there, depending on the type of letter, I'm either going to go up to the sender, like if I were to do an H or a D or a B or an F, and then, or I'll go down to the descender if I'm doing a Y or a G. All right, so if I were to just write out heart normally with no bounce to it, I'm gonna keep it all on this one baseline. Unless there's a letter that naturally goes down to the descender, like a Y or a G, of course. So let's write out heart. So I'm going to go ahead and just write this normally. My upstrokes and my downstrokes. So you'll see that my H and my T naturally go up to that ascender because that's one of those letters that naturally go up to the top. But the rest of my letters just kind of stay in the middle, and all of these letters in this word naturally, if you're just normally writing out a word, like if you were to look at a font, they're all going to end on this same baseline. None of them go down naturally to the descender. So if I want to write out the same word but using the bounce calligraphy, the easy way, my way, I'm going to take down some of these letters down. So I'm going to look at my little list here, and I know my H and my R and my T are all the letters that of this word that I have going down to the bottom of this to this descender line. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Line that up. Okay, so I'm going to still use the same exact techniques, and I'm still going to keep my letters pretty straight up. A lot of times in calligraphy, people like to curve their letters, and that's totally fine. But for this, we're doing it the easy way. We're going to keep it simple and just keep my letters going straight up, just following my guides here. So I'm going to go ahead and do my first stroke on my H. When you look at the guides, if you follow these really well, you'll notice, and this is what you want to do, that the first downstroke here still ends on this baseline. I'm only taking down this last downstroke. And you'll notice that with most of these, it's that last downstroke that I'm taking all the way down to the descender. So my D is still staying normal, and I'm just taking down this last stroke all the way to the bottom. Otherwise, you're going to end up with kind of wonky looking letters. If you take both of these all the way down, it's just going to look like a really long H, and it's not going to give you that bounce. If you were to switch it up and do really long at the bottom and then short at the top, you can do that. I personally prefer the second one to be longer. I've just kind of learned through trial and error that it sometimes can look funky by switching the order of these. So just follow along with the guideline if you're a little confused. Just take a gander at the thing, at my guide here. Take a gander at the guide and you'll see we're just going to follow this along. So my first stroke is still ending at the normal baseline, and this one is going to go ahead and end all the way at the descender. And then I'll just whoop it up. Then my E and my A stay the same. According to my sheet there, they're both red, so they both stay the same. And then I'm going to take my R, and in my sheet here, I have my R going all the way up to the top, because that's personally how I love to do my R's. You don't have to take your R all the way up to the top. You can just end it normally, but just be sure to take the baseline all the way down. But I find it I just think it's kind of fun to take R's, make R's really big here. Go all the way up to the top here with my R. And then I'm going to take this last stroke all the way down to the bottom. And then my T as well is going to go all the way from the top, because it naturally starts at that ascender line, and it's going all the way down to the bottom here. And that's about it. That's how I'm doing this little bounce. Because I went slowly, it looks a little more structured. Usually I like to go a little faster. So let's go ahead and try this one more time, trying to make it a little less structured looking, but you still get the whole idea here. And we'll just go ahead and do this. See, so here I'm going to curve this first downstroke a little bit, give it a little bit more character. Of course, if you're new to this, do not worry about this. Just keep going, keep practicing normally. You see, again, I curved this downstroke a little bit, just a tiny, tiny bit. It gives it a little more casual feel. See, so you can see my two hearts, they're very similar. This is the normal basic one that I teach in the brush pen basics video and blog post that I have. It just stays normal. This one here, these certain letters go down farther and give you that little bounce. So let's try a different word. Let's go ahead, get a new sheet of tracing paper here. And let's try the word kindness. This one in my little sheet here, it's actually one of the practice words that I have. You'll notice that this is one of the few words that I did not connect because I just wanted to show you guys that you don't always have to connect your letters. It doesn't really matter which letters you don't connect, but I love the look of having these certain letters that I'm purposely taking all the way down to the descender line to be disconnected. So that's just something to keep in mind. For this, I'll go ahead and connect these. Maybe I'll keep the K disconnected because I just love that look of the K disconnected with my I right above that. And the other thing to note is that you don't always have to follow with doing the descender line. So you'll see here, because I have 3 letters that are all, if you look at my guide here, they're all blue. So they all are supposed to go all the way down to the bottom. My N, my D, and my N here. If I were to do that with my D and take my D all the way down to the bottom, it could look just fine, but it'll lose some of that bounciness. So specifically in this word, it's kind of a fun word to do because I have it kind of bounces up and down, which is exactly what we're going for. So my K goes all the way down, my I stays normal, but my N goes down. And then my D, instead of taking it down, I'm just going to leave that one normal. And then my N after that is going to go all the way down. That just gives me that nice variety. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. So K is very similar to an H. The bulk of my letters always in that middle part. My I stays normal and my N is going all the way down. My D here. I was going to connect that N, but we'll just leave it for now. Bring that one up. And then my E and my S's stay normal. And they stay just inside that bulk area. So I'll just connect this N right here really quick, just to that D. And there we go. There's kindness. So I hope that helps you understand it. I'll do one more. I want to show you the V really quick, and I'll just write out love. So an L here, that's one of my letters that go all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that all the way down to that descender line. My O stays right in the middle. And then my V, I'm going to stop it at the normal baseline. So it's a little different. It doesn't go all the way down, but I'm going to bring this top line all the way up instead of just stopping it normally. This will just kind of adds me for some variety. And I'm not going to connect it because it'll look kind of weird if you go all the way up and still try to connect it. So this is just how I like to write the word love or other words with V's. It's kind of fun to just add that little whoop on the V. All right, so I think that's about it. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Again, I'll put all of the links to the supplies that I use and all the links to the printable and the other blog posts, the brush pen calligraphy and the faux calligraphy, to check those ones out. And that's about it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. All right, God bless everybody.